Well, howdy. Today we have Fish on the potty, who's I'm going to call you a really good friend, because I value you so much.
I'd say the same about you.
Hey, thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
I should probably just fill this up with tea first.
Well, it's only just started brewing.
That's true.
And that's it.
Warm it up. Fish is I was going to say an artist. I don't really like calling myself an artist. What do you feel like about that?
Well, I'd say broad, but yeah.
I was like writing it this morning and I was like,
realm.
yeah, well I guess you shape boards, make music, and you're good with words, so let's go right ahead and call you an artist. But I would describe you as somebody who lives in mad integrity, so I'm excited to have these chats because
Thank you for saying so.
yeah, no, it's just big. It's something that I've been noticing a lot more in the people that I want to be around, so
Well,
thank you very much. But last week we were talking a little bit about that 7-year cycle,
yeah.
and I was wondering if you had any more, like if you could kind of tell the people a little bit about that cycle.
Well, it's just, something I thought was interesting, right? But I can't even remember where I might have read it or heard it, but it was, they say you change your group of friends every 7 years or so, give or take. As in, you have a culling to be so blunt, of people that you take with you, and people that you leave behind, and lessons learned, and friendships that are truly established over that 7-year period. Yeah, you tend to leave. Let's say you make 10 good mates over 7 years. You take three or four with them.
Yeah.
With you when you move past, and I just sort of noticed that subtly happening in my life. Yeah, as I was getting older, and it's it's like seeing a movie and then watching it happen in real life. That same scenario, or a comedian talk about something and being like, that's what he's talking about.
It's true.
I just sort of noticed it after reading it or hearing it, and I just thought it was
Valuable.
Yeah, obviously it happens. You've noticed it as well for us to talk about it. So
100%. I did some research because I was like, it actually.
What'd you find?
Yeah, I just found that apparently your cells also change, your consciousness changes, and then even on in the planets and stuff, every 7 years something changes as well.
Magical number.
Yeah, I was like, that's really, really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Cool to quantify it and then just be able to be like, everything's happening as it needs to be happening.
Obviously everyone that comes in contact with you and floats in and out of your circle, or people you keep running into, like us,
It's true.
You're obviously meant to meet that person in that cycle, and you either take them with you as you move through life, or you learn something, or maybe they learn something off you, or whatever.
Yeah.
That I think it's just important to be aware of.
For sure.
Definitely happened to me. Happening.
Yeah, no, it's a big one. But what do you like? There's kind of that period I was reading a little bit about. For example, you've got this old personality that you're kind of letting go of, and then there's this new personality kind of coming in, and then in the middle of those two personalities forming the new one, there can be that kind of uncomfortable sort of phase where you're just like, am I that? And what am I at this? And it's just have you ever found that, and has that been if you have, quite uncomfortable or lonely or?
I think to quote the artist thing again, I don't know, is it something that happens to everyone, or is it something when you're a creative and you are trying to shift the way that you would want your art to shift, or your music, your business, your life, the things you do, you want those to shift and align with what kind of person you think you'd like to be, and I think there's unrest in that period for sure, and I've definitely experienced that. As you sort of have these ego deaths and really question yourself, what do you want to do with the time you have here? I'm sure everyone asks themselves that on varying levels and sits with it differently. But for me, that's a tough one for sure. Because you always sort of have this you know, picture of yourself that you would like to attain, you know, all these goals you'd like to tick off the list, and if you feel like you're not getting there, then you're just plateauing, and I don't know, do you feel that way in a sense?
Yeah, no, I feel it hugely, but I feel like I've very recently found, like, thank you.
You're most welcome.
I've recently found some, like, real comfort in it, which is...
Yeah, you gotta sit with it.
Yeah, I feel like I've almost found, like, a bit of a pleasure in it too, because with that you can find a real trust in the process again. It's just, for so long I felt like an alien in my feelings, and then the more I began to, like, express, the more I began to attract people who felt the same. Thank you.
Yes.
And then, yeah, those feelings just didn't feel so uncomfortable anymore.
Well, yeah, because the longer you sit with things to try and understand them, then the more there's this piece at the other side.
That's it, But it is true. It's like that. What you resist persists. What you resist persists.
Tough one.
Whoa, that's tricky. What you resist persists. Yeah.
I'll leave you with that one. I'm not even gonna try.
I'm not even gonna go again.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I feel like after our chat last week or the week before, my brain just went like, because it was just, I don't know, as soon as you can say something and in a way be validated by another human and heard, and they're just like, yeah, I fucking feel that too.
Yeah.
It can just be like, yeah, you're just like, we're all one, we're all experiencing the same kind of,
Yeah. Do you remember, sorry.
No, hit me, that was it.
Do you remember what I was even saying at some stages when I was like, that's something I actually want to change about myself?
Yeah.
And then it ended up being your favourite thing about the conversation.
Yeah.
Was that someone related to you.
Yeah.
But my point was like, that's actually something I despise about my conversation with people.
Yeah.
Is because like, if someone's telling a story about their experience, you know, themselves, and then you come in and be like, I've actually got something like that. That's what you're thinking when they're talking to you. And is that self-centered or like bad conversation to just always relate what you're hearing to yourself? And then, but then you said that's what you liked about it, because it reassured you that you're having these feelings. And that other people have these feelings too. Yeah.
Well, it's the intention behind it. Like, I don't feel like you're not the person who's like made up their mind before I've finished talking. Well, I don't get that feel anyway. Like, I feel like you let me talk and then you're just like, cool. Like, I like what you had to say and this is how I relate to that. And then I'm just like, oh, sick. I feel seen. And then, I don't know, it's like, it's a different intention behind it. Like, if you were just like, I've got friends sometimes who they always just bring it back to themselves and shit, and you're just like, fuck's sake, like you can just feel that it's just like this person just thinks they know better, sort of thing.
Right.
But I don't know, I just don't feel like, I feel like you're too humble to ever that word. Yeah.
The H word.
The H word.
Yeah, it's the difference between someone saying like, or you saying to me like, I had a really good pizza last night, and me going, oh, you haven't tried pizza until you've been to New York.
That's
or
exactly
like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's like devaluing what you have to say with your experience or whatever.
No, that's exactly it. I feel like it's so fucking good. And you don't talk when you don't need to talk. You don't say shit when you don't need to say things. Like, I feel like you're well calculated in what you have to say. So I don't know. I mean, if you're aware of it and there's something within you that's not sitting right, then maybe sit with it. But I don't know, I feel like that's why it just teaches me a lot,
right,
indirectly. So I'm just like, here. Is there a way in which you've been kind of navigating like the death and rebirth in a way of like, I guess there's a lot changing in your life in terms of like you were shaping a lot and like you're still doing a lot of music and stuff like that, but is what's shifting for you at the moment? Like
Well, I guess like, again, if you're truly criticizing your art and you are always changing it and growing in a way. But for me, well, I'll start with the shaping. That's something I've always, like, again, if you sit with yourself and ask yourself what you want to do, that's where I got. When I was in my early 20s, I was you know, knew I was never going to be a pro surfer, didn't even want to be.
Yeah.
But what truly made me happy was being in the ocean, and I knew that I was crafty and enjoyed the pursuit of making surfboards.
Yeah.
And that would keep me surrounded with the community of the ocean and always frothing to make myself something and get out there, blah blah blah. And so that's all I set out to do initially, and to be able to facilitate, you know, have a space to practice and play music, make boards. If that could facilitate that, then, you know, goal achieved. I didn't really want too much from it, or you know, to get to some crazy like guru lord handshaking guy, like but having the space to do it was always the goal, and through that, you know, I've made heaps of friends and connections, both like in our community and in shaping, but yeah, it's always something I just want to keep as like a craft and fun, like music. Even if, you know, some of the bands I'm in were to start touring, let's say, having like 3-month rosters and stuff like that, I would still absolutely do that and try and make that work with everything else I'm doing. Like, I never sort of want to quit any of these things. They're just like there as part of the whole, and that's why I want to take on as many music projects as possible, and why like I still say yes to boards is because, you know, I can fit it all in. But yeah, the more you move through these processes of like taking your board seriously, from being a backyard shaper to hiring a shed and then getting a better shed, blah blah blah, in pursuit of making, you know, the best craft you can, that shifts, and what I originally thought it would be and what I want it to be always changes throughout, you know, nearly the decade that I've been doing that, and longer for music. You know, you hear of bands that make it, you know, within a few years. You hear of bands that take 6-7 years. As a drummer, like, I've always just jumped between bands and stayed pretty grounded and local with what I'm doing with the boards. So for me to like move any of that stuff or change that stuff is always like daunting.
For sure.
And I just want to keep it at a stage where I love it all, like, because it's creative, it's art at the end of the day, like we're saying, and that's what it is in my life, is like a creative outlet.
Cool.
So I've always...
You can really, sorry to interrupt, but you can really fuck it up by just like making it too big of a thing in a way.
Making it everything, you know, or if you're relying on that for money.
It's too much stress.
Well, it can take the creativity out of it. You know, if you're relying on gigs or getting a board deposit to pay rent or food or whatever. So I guess how am I to answer your question, but to give you some background, is at the moment I'm thinking more about having like a 2 to 4 day a week job to make that mad coin and submit to the pressures of like money making with something that is still fulfilling, like teaching or something like that. That's what I'm considering, is teaching my old trade of tiling, because it's in demand.
Sick.
And that could be considered like a desk job or like a boring, like it is literally a government job. But that's what will facilitate, you know, the things that I love and keeping them as things that I love.
For sure.
Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah. Like,
sometimes it's nice to just have, like, I even thought about it. I was like, fuck, I wouldn't mind just getting a job of some description where it's like 2 days a week. And I just go there and then I leave work and it's there and I don't come home with it. It's like, work is just like, I think about it every day without even thinking that I'm thinking about it, sort of thing. Like,
exactly.
I mean, it's just a part of me, like, in a way.
With your work at the moment, absolutely, yeah.
But I mean, I guess this now comes under the, I call any sort of creativity, I call it work because I guess I love work. So now the new things that I'm focusing on, I still call this work, like podcasting or like the DJing thing, because I guess I'm just building a brand around myself, trying to make something out of any sort of creativity that I can muster.
I know, right? It's great to see, it's great to watch. It's why I always said yes, like, I'm back,
no, I appreciate it. It's just cool. It's cool to have that kind of freedom and to just take the leaps, I guess.
But it's always a daunting thing, like.
It is actually.
Even to just put it in that like category of work. It means you kind of never switch off if you're always doing these things that you love, and you kind of want to keep tapped into that source that makes you like, not burn out.
For sure, keeps it flowing, because it is tricky when you don't have that flow or you're going through a shitty period and you're just like, how can I find the motivation? And that's where discipline comes in and all that, but when creativity don't flow, like you would have felt it probably when you've hopped in the shaping bay and you're just like, I just don't really fucking feel like shaping today. Or have you felt that? Or you always
I try to avoid that.
Yeah.
Like that's what I mean. Is I would much rather be at a place where that wasn't what I'm relying on for money.
For sure.
In the sense that that can kind of demonize and homogenize anything that you're doing.
I like it. I mean, like I guess, because like I derive a lot of.
But yes, I have had that.
Okay, cool. See that? It's like, I think, because it's like, again, it's like a purpose thing. When you're kind of doing things, you feel a little bit better about yourself. I mean, when I'm going through a hard time and I guess I still do shit, but I think I'm just hard on myself with the amount of things that I do.
That's what I'm saying. If you're always doing the work stuff, and it's part of your creative, like it can like drain you.
It can, for sure.
So big one.
No, I've felt it. I think I just like have like 30 projects open at once, and I just do everything at 30%.
Like a computer, you just got all the tabs open. It's running like 50%. Could be,
Basically, just take a really long time to just do everything in a way, or then I'll just randomly bang something out in 10 minutes. Like a music video can sometimes take me like a few weeks, or it can just take me 2 hours. Like it just depends on flow.
Whether you're forcing it or not.
Exactly. It's funny trying to finish up the butted edit, and I'm like, something's got to give.
It's really hard to make those boys and girls look bad. I'm sure we'll be fine with that.
They're actual hotties now. I'm just trying to make the story. I'm just trying to make more of a story, I guess. Because there was only 2 characters, and then it's kind of like a love story and
it's
all
a
that
sweet
jazz.
song.
It is a sweet song.
Is that for Blue Jeans?
Blue Jeans, Blue Jeans,
Shout out the boys.
The Butter Boys. That's my recommendation of the week. I kind of wanted to talk about. I actually really want to talk about this, so we'll see how we go. We've had some good yarns surrounding adapting, fucking the law off, and living in integrity. What's your stance on kind of the past couple of years that we went through and this the separation that went down and where we're at now? I feel like shit's been brushed under the carpet, and I'm keen to resurrect it.
Let's bring up the zombies. Raise them from the dead. We can. Let's get Taboo up in this biatch.
Shit. But I do remember getting ribbed by the majority of people and feeling.
Ribbing's a great word.
Absolutely. But always remaining open and not pushing my beliefs. But I'm curious as to where you stand, and again, it's that integrity thing and that adaptability thing I'm fucking keep talking about. Like, I feel like in this life we've got to be adaptable, and I just saw that the majority weren't adapting, and to me it became such a fun fucking thing, just being like
to watch go down.
Like, how are we going to change? How am I going to make this work? How are we going to pivot? How am I going to make money? Like, and then the losing the friendships and all that jazz. Like, I'm curious where you stand, if you felt small at times, or if it was like a bit of a journey for you.
Well, definitely a journey, and it's still ongoing to an extent, you know. So yeah, it's pretty poignant to bring it up right now, I reckon. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, for me, I literally just started my lease at the factory, and like as in a bigger factory, about 2 months before it hit, like literally in January, and I think it really cracked on the Gold Coast around March.
Yeah.
2019 BC, before COVID.
BC. That's brilliant.
Yeah, and I was very excited about that, and then all of a sudden, a couple months later in the news, you know, taking on this big lease, and you know, borders are shutting down, the most crazy crisis happening. And
are you in Queensland or New South Wales at that
Queensland.
You're in Queensland.
And the factory's still there, but essentially I was wondering if I've just, you know, absolutely blown it and gonna have to sell up. Like, people were rush buying like toilet paper and gloves and shit. They're not gonna be buying surfboards. And yeah, but I was lucky enough to stick it out through gigs before gigs got cut off.
Yeah.
So it affected, like,
the music industry got absolutely rickrolled.
Railed.
I reckon they got done the worst.
Well, potentially. They were definitely making the most noise about it out of the people who weren't conforming. I feel like there was a lot of muso posts that were being shared.
I feel like all the majority were just like lefty. I'm gonna cut this out, but like there was also like these lefty fucking musos that were just like, you gotta do your bit, we're a collective, and it was just like, for the gigs to be back on, you gotta go get it. And
well, we did have a bit of that.
Yeah, I felt like I saw that a lot.
Yeah, there was festivals Luja had to pull out of because we weren't vaccinated. Some of our first gigs too, so we really wanted to say yes to almost everything. And but we stood strong, you know.
So good. When people stood strong, I was just like, yes!
Yeah, I feel like only the people who were standing strong felt that way though.
Yeah,
obviously everyone.
Just liberating.
Yeah, and everyone who had been vaccinated was making out we were part of the problem.
Yeah.
And they kind of had this attitude of like, haha, you'll see, like when you're drop dead, you know,
you die,
we'll be, you know, all on an island together. It's
classic.
Well, I say we, knowing that you're on this side of the fence, didn't feel that way. Like, when I heard friends, loved ones, partners were getting vaccinated for their own meritorious reasons, you know, well, yeah, reasons with merit. They convinced me and made me question, you know, what I was doing.
And
but
good,
I also
good
felt,
in a way though, because it means you're just like, open.
Yeah, I was never all the way shut off. Something felt wrong, so I just had to trust how I was feeling about it and the research I stumbled across. But yeah, I didn't feel that way when I heard that. I wasn't like, you're a fucking idiot, like, you sheep. I was like, oh my god, I really hope you're okay. I hope I'm wrong. You know, I hope none of this breaks out to be problematic health-wise or mentally or fertility-wise. Like,
the fertility one was the one that got me.
Like, makes the most sense to me.
Yeah, we're seeing like the most insane, like fucked up. So many chicks that I know who jabbed up, their periods are just have never been the same since. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. There was my friend was.
I've not heard that one.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's a huge one. Like.
Excuse me.
You gotta get learned. No, I'm joking. Even like in the midst of it, my friend was at Zanzi and this chick just collapsed on the floor, and my friend is a doctor and he's against it, which is lit. And and he just like went over and he was like, hey, how you going? Like, what's going on? And she just had like a seizure, and she was like, oh no, I don't have a pass of anything. And then she was like, I just got my second jab this morning. And then the fucking ambos came in and they were putting it down to being a mystery fucking illness that it just had no ground. Yeah, no ground, whatever. And they'd had so many calls apparently that week with this mystery illness that it just popped up, and I was like, anywho.
Yeah.
But it is.
There's so many cases like of stories like that, like between friends and groups of friends. Like nothing crazy personal myself. My mum has myocarditis now.
Yeah. Like how many people
whatever they call that, and just a few acquaintances stories, but mumsy, no history of heart issues in the fam. No.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on in there.
But it's again like when it was all hitting. It was really hard to stay on our side of the fence with it. But especially when so many, people were doing it, getting vaccinated, doing their thing, biting the bullet.
And they the community,
I was always just hoping it wouldn't turn out to be what it's kind of unraveling to be. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And
it went exactly the way we kind of assumed it'd go in a way.
When is this conversation happening in any of their like parliamentary circles or any of those avenues to bring justice to any of this, or is it still too like?
There is a little bit going on, which is cool.
Yeah.
There's a little bit, but I don't think they're making big moves. I don't think much is changing.
Right.
There's some chats, but I don't think much is going to change.
Well,
I think it's
surely the more. You reckon it's just going to get swept under
for sure.
the breezy?
Yeah, I reckon all the fines and stuff, no one will have to actually pay for the fines for like not wearing masks and things like that, but I don't think you can get like a payout if you had something.
Oh, right.
You can literally just go onto the government website on like Service New South Wales or whatever and get your money. You just have to show your doctor's certificate or whatever it is.
That's pretty sweepy under the rug.
It's very. I mean, money talks.
Money silences people.
Money silences. No, it's true. But it's a spin out. But I can't imagine. I feel like everyone's a little bit more comfy just like not talking about it. Even not talking about it like from this angle. I feel like people are just like, let's just not open the can of worms. But it's just kind of like, how can we just forget that the last fucking 2 and a bit years of our lives or whatever was just like controlled and chosen for us, like.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well,
and very forced.
Yeah.
Like what draws the line of like dictatorship when that can be rolled out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know this is very staunch and savage, but I always said from the fucking beginning that if someone forced me to grab that fucking vaccine, I'd rather kill myself, because that's all my freedom ripped away and I'm nothing without my freedom.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, I would never. I believe that because I'm quite healthy, I could just eliminate it anyway, but it's a principles thing. It's just like, I think that anyone that's healthy can just like, you can do protocols, you can see a naturopath and do all the bits and bobs to get rid of it. Like,
if it literally is another cold, like another influenza, we're going to be alright if you're eating well and you've got a healthy lifestyle. That's
and why were we not focusing on that? Like, why? It's just like they weren't sitting there going like, everyone, like, let's get some sunshine, let's eat some good food, drink some good water. It was just like, don't fucking worry about any of that shit. Just get your boosters. Like, did you get it? The actual COVID? How'd you go?
I got it like a year in. Like, it would have been. Actually, it would have been 8 months in. If it hit in March or whatever, we had a New Year's party.
Oh yeah, I got it at New Year's.
And we, some people were all in a group chat. This group of people that came, and 5 days later, sooner even, people were like, I'm feeling pretty scratchy, like in the throat. Just letting everyone know I'm going to get a rat test today.
Fuck, I've forgotten that word, rat test.
Yeah, it's even a disgusting moniker, isn't it?
I've never done one of those fucking things,
Yeah. And so Clara and I weren't feeling bad at that time, and we both, bit the bullet and went And I swear to God, man, I swear to Jesus, that the invasive nature of that swab, mine was like wet. Like, I know they all were, like you had to dip them in a little thingy, a little litmus test if you will, and it just dooks yourself right down in the, and it just like, my eyes watered like crazy, I was coughing up, and then from that day onwards I started getting symptoms of COVID, like 5 days later.
Swear it's placebo, eh?
Oh man, and our tests were both negative, but then we both got sick after having the test.
Yeah. Well, they did these tests where they lined them up and they put orange juice on one, they put water on one, and then they actually like put one in somebody's mouth and they all just came up positive. So I don't know how
I don't want to speculate nothing right now.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
But that's my experience with it, you know, and I don't know. It's just how I've always felt about vaccines and antibiotics. I'm very, I guess, undereducated opinion. Like, it's not like I've gone and studied any of that stuff, but through friends and, you know, the misinformation we stumble across.
Yeah, it's fucking intuition though. I feel like without even reading anything, I was like, oh, something is amiss.
Yeah, like again, a strong immune system, from what I've learned, is what we're given, you know, to withstand everything chemically on this planet.
For sure.
The body's very resilient,
100%.
and all that antibiotics, you know, can do, unless it's an absolute dire situation.
Yeah, time and place.
Yeah, when your immune system is already shot from a particular virus.
Big time.
Then all they're going to do is literally give you a dosage of the virus and
bring it on
and kill everything, kill all your good bacteria.
Yeah.
And
then your gut's
vaccines are very similar. You know, they essentially attach you with the cell knowledge to gain the virus.
Yeah. People don't know that though. And it's like, it's interesting.
Well, I don't know that on a scientific level either, you know, but it's just...
It's pretty clear though.
It feels right, you know, when you're eating good and you've got a good lifestyle. When you're sick or you're feeling run down, give yourself the rest. Or, you know, lay off the ciggies.
Sure.
Don't drink this week,
100%.
you know.
Get
some veggies and fruit.
I feel like everyone was just run down after a really big year as well, because everyone in King kind of got it at the same time. We were just dropping like flies, but I got it after...
Because we started being social again too.
Yeah.
So it was like, we were real gnarly, like shut down
for sure.
That year, and
like
people were
isolated.
like, fuck it on New Year's.
Yeah, and like, I guess we weren't getting that connection, like we weren't getting, I mean, to a degree we were, but not getting... We didn't have that freedom of choice and freedom of just, no huggies, and that's just everything. But even when I got it, I don't party, but that night I was like sucking people's vapes, I had some mushies, like I had a couple of drinks. And like, and I'm like, I went to bed at 2 a.m. and I had the biggest year ever, like, rightfully so, I probably needed a rest. It's probably just,
That's your body telling you.
Yeah, that's what I think. I don't think I've been sick since, so...
Yeah, I don't think we've had it since, like, you know.
Yeah, is it still getting around a little bit? Yeah, my friend just sent me in America, he just sent a positive test, and I was like, shit, it's still a thing.
Yeah, people are getting it, but like, it's a fucking cold, man.
Yeah, I know. The flu got me harder.
It's a hard flu. Like, it can take you out for a week or two.
Yeah.
But I just don't know what the side effects are of it.
No.
Or the vaccine.
No.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll see. Even more. I mean, we've already seen.
Yeah, there's a lot.
We've very clearly seen, but there's still that mentality surrounding it where people are dying still, and we're still the problem. Like,
I think there's going to be heaps of people trying to find the origin of it all. Though.
Yeah. I'm like, where are we at? Do we know? No.
Yeah, well, could be that under the rug situation that we just never know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking WikiLeaks round 2 would be lit.
Where's Julian Assange?
Please bring back. That'd be so good. But yeah, where do you think that, like, that thing where you don't think for yourself and you don't challenge things and you don't pivot when fuck things like that happen, like, is that something that like we're just born with, or like why is that not a big thing? Like, why are people not asking these questions? And like, to me it was like what, you were working in a cafe and you had to get it and you were like, oh well fuck, I've got to keep my work, I've got to keep money on the table. It's just like, I feel like that way of thinking, it's like, spins me out that people kind of think like that. I'm sorry if you think like that, but it's just like,
and it's okay to think like
and
that.
it is, it really is, but it's just like, isn't that the universe asking you to pivot, asking you to see bigger things for yourself? Like
a chance for a change. Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, who was it, that tennis player that didn't get it? He was
Novak Djokovic.
Yeah. Fucking my boy. Like,
he came back the next year and like won. Yeah.
Like, I listened to a few of his interviews on that, and I was like, fucking power.
Yes,
like, yeah. It was cool to see some big names just kind of like
Absolutely.
getting around it.
Yeah.
I mean, what's his name? I keep wanting to call him Joe Dispenza. What's that podcaster? That one fucking gets torn to shreds all the time.
Oh, Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, yeah. Like, I thought that was Seth Rogen for so long. How good is that? Yeah, he had some good things, great things to say as well. But yeah, he got so kind of cancelled in a way, but like sort of piggybacked off that in a way. And
I feel like it polarized his audience.
Yeah,
you know?
It's good. He was just like, fucking, this is how I feel.
This is how,
Yeah.
And this is the research. He would have had a lot of like, you know, resources to pursue the truth there.
Yeah.
And
did he get deleted off Twitter?
Not sure. I don't actually have that much social media presence.
Yes, you don't. This is true. It must be nice.
Yeah. It's all hearsay, what I receive.
Yeah. Yes.
True. Trying to have these conversations more and more, like. When you, sorry to even bring it back to that previous question, but when you ask like how that affected me at the time, to use that word again, polarized, like it just polarized my friendships. And it's not to say that I think any of my mates who got vaccinated, I respect them any less. It was just interesting to watch how people reacted in that time, and how, because there were some mates that were just like, oh yeah, I got it because I had to, or you know, friends, had to keep working down in New South Wales, had to get the border, or people that were finishing uni and couldn't even go and pick up their certificate because they couldn't cross the border, or they didn't have it to get into the campus, like that sort of stuff. Or you know, people who had family members in hospital. Possibly the worst example. You know. That I can understand, caving. And without the knowledge, you know. But to answer the question, like a lot of my friends that I hang out with and that are in my bands, that we're all feeling, you know, and the creatives or whatever, that we're all feeling the biggest pinch from it. They all had the same opinion in general. Like 99%, like of my mates were, you know, we all talked about this heaps through it all.
They were good chats.
And felt like I had a support network of people like, you know, that just understood. You didn't have to talk about it if you didn't want to, like. But if they found out something, you know, we'd all bring it up. It wasn't taboo. Whereas if you go to dinner with someone, or like go to my parents' house or whatever, catch up with mum, that was just real hard to talk about. It wasn't an open conversation. It was very like polarizing and one-sided from either side. And you try and listen to as much as you can to take on what they're feeling and what they know, but it just only quantifies how you feel, you know.
It's funny, my dad was in France for like the whole thing, and it was pretty hectic over there, but he was like the guy that started like a newsletter, and like the amount of hate he copped was just like, but he was pretty staunch, like just like staunch this way, like you want to be in the middle, you want to be open, you want to just be more accepting and stuff like that, but it was funny to watch him just really come out of his shell and just be like, very, just like this. And, yeah, it's cool to see Dad just been flexing up and
in a tough place to do it.
Yeah, especially because his wife is a like full-blown pharmaceutical, like.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he always wanted us to get like the vaccines in childhood and stuff, and Mum's completely anti, always has been, which is so I feel very lucky.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like lots of friendships dropped away. I had interesting like problems on the gram because I liked posting stupid shit like funny memes because they were that good. Like,
oh yeah, it was a meme rich couple of years.
Oh, it was so meme rich, like just like the Anastasia Palaszczuk, like all the premieres, the things that were going on, just made me laugh. But it like tainted my like view of just social media because I'd post something stupid and then I'd have this like chick just being like, "You're disgusting," just like fully just being like, "You are," and just being like, you know, what about me? What about I'm immune compromised and stuff? And I'd be like, my brother's immune compromised. Like, I care about
coming from a place.
Yeah, it's like I get it. I see it. I've got sick people around me, and they're even just being like, "Oh shit, I'm immune compromised. I'm gonna use this as an agent to like get even stronger, build the immunity even more." But yeah, it made me just like be a lot more, like I was looking back on some shit that I'd posted and I was like, I used to be so loose with the shit and I used to not give a fuck about what I posted. I'd be like, if I trigger you, whatever. Like, I'm probably a little bit happier being on this end of the spectrum, being a little bit more just like, I don't need to post it to like, I can just laugh at it and just be like, yeehaw.
Yeah, or if someone actually wants to have a conversation about it, then we can hopefully quite amicably.
and there were some really good open conversations. Like, I'll give it a little bit. Like, there were some people on the other side that were like, "Hey, have you thought about seeing it like this?" And I got some actual valid points from people, and I was like, "Cool, good combo." But yeah, it was the thing that pained me the most was the people that they weren't able to like get on flights to go visit their dad who was dying and things like that. Where I was just like, but to me, I looked at that and I was like, shouldn't you guys be fucking mad?
Fighting.
Like get angry. It's like, you know, I mean, I work for myself and a lot of my work was in Queensland and like not one part of me was like, I'm gonna get the jab so I can go to Queensland. I was like, alright, what am I gonna do? Like what Photoshop am I gonna do? Like what am I gonna... I went over there multiple times a week. Like I just make certificates. You could go over for acupuncture. So it was just like, you're actually allowed in the fine print to go for that. I'm like,
say anything.
Yeah. I even had a cop tell me straight to my face, "You're the fucking problem," and I was just like, true that. Well, I was just like, I'm glad I get to just choose for myself, and I'm glad you get to choose for yourself.
Yeah, do what you gotta do.
It was just like it's kind of like nice to like re-feel those like the empowering sides of it. Like
I'll tell you my watered down version of that empowerment.
Yeah, give it.
I didn't really have to go to New South Wales for too much. I missed out on seeing some of my best mates down there for a couple months. Until I realised you could also go for sporting. Like for exercise.
Of course you could.
And I lived in Shooting, and I would go. I got into golf over COVID. I'm a COVID golfer. Yeah, fresh as. And I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna go down and play Chindra, play Cooley Tweed, and I could just say like I'm going for a sporting thing and get a pass.
That is so funny. I didn't even fucking know.
And it was just, that was empowering for me because I get through the checkpoint. Yeah, this is my son. Thanks, officer. Go down and play 18 holes. And like my partner lived down in New South Wales, and you know she got the jab, and it was a huge thing between us. Like me being like, why? Like so I can come up and see you, and so that I can go to uni and go to work, and it was a huge like rift between us at the time, and but so many people just caved when only a month or two later the border thing, the restrictions actually became quite a bit lighter, and
it's like that. There's that photo.
You could get around it.
You could. That guy who's like chipping away underground he's like got a little pickaxe and he's just chipping and he decides to give up, and then if he chipped one more time he would have found the treasure, sort of thing. I don't know if you've seen that photo, but it was just that.
I'm painting it in my mind
yeah.
right now.
It was that. It was like, let's hold tight. It's not gonna fucking be like this forever. And while we hold tight, let's just take the piss. Like, I feel like
We'll take some chances.
Yeah, take some chances. Like, the amount of times I walked over that water as well, I was like, I remember it being shut down here. It was just like cops were just patrolling. Like, they were giving fines out of the creek for fucking swimming. They were like, everyone put your masks on, and we were just like, we're swimming, like, fuck off. And I remember I remember wanting to get like a little taste of like what the other half were getting, because Queensland was completely open. I just got super stoned, walked over the water and was like, this is chill. People were just like sitting, having like lunches, and it was just like, meanwhile, like 2 minutes over the border, like everyone is shut down here. And it was just, to me, it was just hilarious. And then I just like walked back over and just hopped in my car, and I was like, cool, I get to have it all. Cheers. Like,
that's right,
But it was funny, even like my favorite cafe, fuck, I want to say the name because it's my favorite kind of green cafe. And they're just like, you know, on a farm and all this stuff, and they fucking, like, I went there for years. I'd write my journal and I'd sit my hot chucky, and it was just like my place to go, and they loved me. And then all of a sudden I couldn't go there anymore, and they were just like looking at, like, I had to like go to the takeaway window and I wasn't allowed to sit in.
I didn't know you anymore.
Yeah, and it was just like, I'm like, you're preaching this green thing, and it was just like, there was so many times where I just couldn't compute, where it's like your values, your business,
has to
and
align.
I'm like, that's why now it's like everything I fucking say and do's got to align. It's just like, that one really got me. I was just like, it never upset me, but I was always just like, are you joking? Like,
there were a few strong fighters through that stuff though. I will name a name, like, even I like ramen in Nobby's.
Shout out to Ben Duke.
Like, he, as soon as he could reopen, you know, he was putting tables out. He was only, the poor bugger was only allowed like 50% capacity. It was barely covering, you know, probably what the running cost of the place would be.
Killing all small business,
But he was never like making his staff do any of the vaccine stuff. Just was like, bam, no, we're gonna stay open. We're still putting music on as soon as we can, you know, playing to half a room, you know. But those places that did had support as well, because there were so few places pushing through that time that people were so keen to get out. So it was fully booked, even though it was 50%. There was a couple of movements of tables, you know, because he gave them an option for the people that come out.
For sure.
And there's some people out there like that that stood strong. It
was good. That like no mask, we don't ask thing. Like even Nectar in Cabba, like they copped it. And
really?
Yeah, they just had that sign that was just like, if you don't wear a mask, we're not going to be like asking you all about it. Like, because I didn't fucking wear a mask. I think I wore a mask maybe twice. Once in the op shop because I was like, I want some bargains, and the chick was just 1v1ing me. But normally I'd made a certificate that said I had a lung infection and anxiety, so I could just use that everywhere. But it was good. Like, I remember even at the yoga studio, like there was talk about having to be vaccinated to go to yoga, and I was just like,
it's so contrived.
I was just like, this is also backwards. But they ended up trying to force it upon the teachers, but then not the people attending. But it was the coolest thing, just noticing the businesses that were just like, not standing for it. Like, but I had
not allow people to come and eat food or do their thing.
It was really, honestly, the trippiest thing. But I'm so proud of the way I did it. I still went overseas. I still fucking did everything.
That's something I didn't do. I didn't get to go overseas.
That's a shame. I mean, I got very lucky in my doings, but you know. But it's just like, again, adapting. Like, I feel like I was even looking into exemptions and things like that, like doing my research and just being like, how can I didn't get an exemption. But it's just like, again, it became, still to this day, I feel like with authority, I'm just always just like, how can I fucking one up you? How can I know my rights? Like,
how can I make you feel like a fool?
So good. I told the cop that he worked for me.
Oh, that's like nothing anyone ever wants to hear. You know?
He hated it. He had nothing. He had nothing to say. And I just did it just because I'd been holding on to it. That's it. It was just like, wasn't even like relevant, and I just fucking said it.
Oh, that's probably why you got away with it.
Nah, just felt. What a funny time. It's nice to relive it with you. What's your like dream? Do you have like an end goal or something? Like, where do you see yourself? Like, for example,
interesting question.
Do you? Is there?
How deep do you want me to get?
Get deep. I just love hearing this because it's like,
Well, to be honest, it's something like I try and ask myself often, just to try and stay on the righteous path of getting there. But I don't know. I see myself traveling a lot more. There's so much more of the world that I'd like to see and live in.
Anywhere in particular?
Well, no. I don't want to cement that either because I'd like to travel enough to know.
Yeah.
You know.
I got that too.
I can't really see myself having kids. I love kids. Love hanging out with my mates' kids, my niece and nephew. I'm the cool uncle.
It's always the cool uncle that doesn't want to have kids, but they're really good with kids.
Because you can give them back. You know, you give them 110% because it's fleeting. At time. And the next time you see them, they'll be that much taller. And then they'll be 14 and they won't want anything to do with their cool uncle anymore until they need to buy beer. But it's something for me that I respect everyone's decision to do it, and there are people out there that I love, having kids, making great human beings, and that's what should be happening. I've always been of the opinion that there's a lot of people in the world, and until I can sort of provide everything that I want for myself, both emotionally, security-wise, financially, and in knowledge. I want to have the life of experience to be able to give that to my human and my partner. You know what I mean? And create an environment for a kid that could be my job for 14 years until they don't want to know me. And beyond. Whereas right now there's still so much that I selfishly want for myself, and I can admit that, and I can own that, and anyone who wants to come on the journey in the meantime, like she's there. But that's not to say like I'm selfish in that way of giving like to a partner or whatever either. It's more so that I know what I'd like to do, and if I have the control over staging my life in this way, I'll try.
I like that.
So eventually, I'd like to be at a stage with my work and savings, both from teaching and board making, to make a move anywhere, or whether that be to buy a place locally and have a base, to be able to rent and travel. I've always seen myself being on some land, like, my earlier years. That would be fun. But that also is a huge responsibility. So,
it is big.
To answer your question, I feel like art, music, and travel will always be a huge part of my life. And like I've always joked, like I want to be that old drummer that like can barely take his kit to like a jazz gig, and set it up and still play, and because that's my social life. That's fun for me, and that's how I've made some of the best friends I've ever known, and some of those 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 that you carry with you every 7 years have been through music. The deepest connections, it's like family, or a relationship, you know, but with 5 people. And you all have to meet a certain time of the week, make time for each other, communicate well without getting angry at each other, or find a language. So for me, that's a huge part of, you know, my life, and one that I won't see disappearing. So yeah, for me, immediately, like, because I wouldn't really like to look too far ahead into the future, you know, that's my goal, is to facilitate that, and keep art and craft and all things fun that require the heart and the mind as things that are done for love, and not so much the money. And
I like
does that make sense?
It sounds like freedom, basically.
Can I ask you the same question? Can I flip it on you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what do I see? I see the same sort of because
you said end up in your life, right?
Yeah. I guess.
So to have the word end in there,
no, that's the part that's
it's the thing that makes it a tough question. You know?
I guess I'll take that away. I think, I guess just like a goal that's like, been there a while, I guess. I guess mine is it's the land. I love the idea of just like being somewhere quiet where there's not that many people, but the people that I cross paths with are intentionally there at the right time. I guess for me it's like, I want to be in Tassie, I want to like buy a little church and like work on the church, convert the church into a house, have the garden, like have the fresh water source. Like for me it's like, it's more of a feeling. It's like I want to just feel peaceful and I want to always be learning, but I think I'd really love to work towards, I am already in a way working towards having that, and I would like kids, but I'm not sort of like set on it yet, because it's like I need to get to a place within myself where I need those selfish years.
Absolutely.
I need many more selfish years. Like I'm yet to travel a bunch more, and I want to have these lessons under my belt. I don't want to fucking put all these traumas on a kid. Like I want to have my shit worked out, and I want to feel ready. And if I don't ever feel ready, I'm not gonna like just be like, I think a lot of people just do that and they just go, oh, it's my purpose, like, you know, and then they just have the kids and then they don't really have to look at themselves, and it's just like,
it'll be a fast-paced life.
But it's like, I think I want to be able to have the freedom to just like not necessarily like work super hard, and be able to just like be in that phase where it's just like I can just go out to my veggie garden and get my food and do a little bit of editing. I want to do my like yoga training, and like, you know, just do some like meditations at the farm, and like be able to have people over and have good stimulating chats, and
surround yourself with the right things and people, and
always be just like in the land of opportunity. And I think the end goal is just more inner peace all the time, more just like it's like, you know, that feeling when you're performing and you're vibing, and like you and Andre look at each other in the eyes and you're both just like, that, I see it like when you guys are playing, and it's just like, to me it's just like the biggest, it's like the best feeling in the world.
This presence,
because you're just like, I can feel this, you can feel this, we're making this, like, and it's not for it necessarily for anyone else, it's just like,
absolutely,
but then indirectly it becomes for other people, because it's like art is, I don't know, I'm getting fucking welling up, but it's like it is, it's like art
is speaking from the heart about things that relate in the same way. There's that interaction, it's real,
it's super real.
It's about being present to experience that, and what the funny part is that a lot of people who aren't in that world don't actually understand what we say when it's like, you sacrificed heaps to actually live life this way. Like, and the sacrifices aren't the same as it's as if I'm considering them normies, like, you know, like normal people.
Yeah, well, to a degree it is.
But yeah, for someone who's not pursuing, you know, something that's almost unattainable, like being a professional musician, like as in it's covering all your bills, or same with your work, like cracking through those gates to be recognised for the type of art you make, both in film, all of your videos, all of your photo work, like, yeah, the list goes on for you, and that's why it's a whole package that you're doing with all of this too, is because there's so much of you that's being put into the creative process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is a lot of me, yeah.
But there's people don't understand what that sacrifice is. It means you can't get a normal job.
Nah.
Because if you have a normal job, like I know heaps of musicians that play gigs on the weekend, but then they're like a full-time tradie during the week, or they're a parent and a teacher or whatever, and they make the balance well. And this is just a generality, but they're either so frothing on music that they suck at their day job because they're at practice all night, or they're awake late on the weekend, or they're really good at their job and they're a mediocre musician because they're not putting in all of that time.
You can't.
Yeah, so I'm sure that is throughout so many realms, but in the creative outlet. To do what you're doing as good as you do, or anyone who's great at what they do, there is actually a big sacrifice. And until you start seeing that monetized or turned into something that gives anything back to you, you know? But yeah, as you were talking, I was trying to remember something, but it's escaped me.
It's gone.
Because I just wanted to let you go.
I appreciate everything that you said. It's very kind. It's nice to be seen in the way that you see me as well. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome. But yeah, that I wanted to throw that question back to you because it's a tough one, but something that, you know, we should ask ourselves frequently. It's like, but to say like, where do you want to end up?
I want to completely eradicate that from because it's funny because I've been feeling that, like I'm like, so what does happen when I get that, and then I have that, and then I'm like, I don't want to, and then you're just sitting there and you're just like, I don't want anything more, sort of thing. What am I going to work for now? Like, I don't want that to be how it is. So it's like, I guess it's like, I just want to forever just be open to more opportunity and cool shit going down, and connections like the biggest one for me on my next path, because I've gone through years and years and years just being that hyper independent person that doesn't need anyone, that doesn't ask for help. It's just like I thought I was really introverted, but I realized recently that I'm actually not introverted. I'm just really, my peace is just extremely important to me. So it's like, I go to these parties and I go to these dinner parties and stuff like that, and I just get home and I'm like, fuck, I could
just stay here and have some tea.
It would have filled up my cup a lot more. But then when I start having these conversations like with you and stuff the other day, it completely changes everything in my makeup, because I'm just like, I know what you deeply seek and want to your core is to connect and to have good combos and to be learning a lot from other people. That's what happens regardless of whether you're paying attention to it or not. Is learning through conversation, you know, even with people you just run into every day. For sure.
You know, there's something that's begging to be learned, like from either you or from them. So to be aware whether you're the one to give that lesson today or whether you're the one to learn it it's hard to remain in that presence if you are constantly socially dragged from different angles. And it's cool to just be in that stage again that we were talking about before, just being like, oh shit, like a lot of my friendships have crumbled, a lot of them have just like slowly just like just broken basically, or just I don't want to put energy into them, or they don't really want to, I don't know, it's just not flowing anymore. And then it's cool to be in that stage where I'm like, shit, what's coming next? Like, because I can see it even going through a kind of rough couple of months, like of just major lessons and like just like shadow work and shit like that, just like
looking at parts of myself that I didn't really want to look at, and then just sort of being able to like just accept that and then get excited about what's coming next. Like I don't think I experienced excitement for a really long time, and then
You think so?
I don't think I hadn't experienced like that excitement feeling within myself for a while.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah.
really like feel like lit the flame again.
Yeah.
For you to be motivated.
Yeah.
In what sense would you say? Like in a creative way, in an emotional way?
I guess just like in a trusting in the process way, and also just like I think I could probably have like a little bit more ego in a way. I think I've been like, I never saw myself as anyone who did anything that would impact anyone. Like I never really.
And that's not how you should feel.
Yeah. I just for so long I kind of just like I don't know, I'm not. I had the bad person kind of complex where I was just like I just don't.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah, hugely, and then it's a funny one. It's funny. I do really well with words of affirmation, and then I think I realized through a few conversations, people are like, no, like you're doing this to help, and we're all kind of like the spice of life is trying to just help people. Like in a way, that's kind of what we're all here for.
Absolutely.
Like that's why we do creative shit.
It's if you're present, that's what you're here for. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. That's why like art is so important, because it brings people into presence. Like it's been good to just actually see shit the way it actually is. Like see that my intentions are good and things like that. I think it's just like hard to get there without feeling like you have a big thick ego and you're like, I'm doing all this shit and like all this, I am this, I'm a videographer and stuff. It's like, how do you just, I guess it's just like an inner feeling that's like slowly started knocking at my door recently, where I've been like, oh shit, no, you're a good person with a good heart.
You should never feel that way.
But I felt for so fucking long. I just like, because I think again, when your opinions are in the minority, and it can be like quite a lonely sort of place to be. And then you're kind of holding back. I think recently I've been like, I'm not holding back anymore. Like, like this. Why am I stifling myself? Like, this is how you attract the peeps.
Obviously, I'm a friend of yours, but so when I see this, like, I understand it. But you know, we're relatively new friends. Like, we've known each other for years, and it has never come across that way. The way you portray yourself online or what you do work-wise, it's as I've further gotten to know you, that's like only shown me exactly that, like that this girl's just real and she's having a red hot crack and being honest about it. But I think that's something that's quite natural is to feel, you know, that you're putting a different image of yourself out there, or it looks like, look at me, I'm doing all this. Like,
I just never want to be that way.
It's how I feel about social media. Like, I could go into the factory and take a photo of any process I'm doing on board, any day of the week, and post that shit and get likes and build the algorithm, you know. There's something that looks beautiful or artistic enough to photograph in there, even just the space. It's nice. But to me, just to relate to you, like that feels like I'm like screaming out for attention. You know, it should be what I'm doing to grow a business. But my opinion is like, of what good business is word of mouth. You've had a positive connection or experience with someone, or they've seen your product, or you've written it, whatever, and they've come to you for that. Your audience knows who you are sometimes, and if they don't, they've already made their mind up about you.
That's it.
And that's actually your brother's advice. When he came over for dinner, we were talking about posting, blah blah blah. You should do this, you should do that. I'm like, like, don't really like bringing attention to what I'm doing, unless it's something that really has a story attached to it. Like, and he was like, oh no man, just do it more. Put more of yourself out there. Because he's like, don't worry about what anyone else thinks, because your audience that you have, they already like had made their mind up about you. And same about people that haven't yet.
Yeah, that's it.
You know?
That's it.
And what you do is quite honest, and yeah, you should never feel like you're screaming out for attention like with that. Yeah,
it is not that. And like, I think I like what you said about the word of mouth thing. Like, you do your thing, well, this person will talk to this person and it'll just flow. It's like, that is
you use the word organic.
Yeah,
it's possibly the realest way that you can do business. It's even when I was tiling, like my first trade from my teens to my early 20s, that like funded all of these dreams. That was how I got busy. I had cards. I didn't have a website or an Instagram. I just that customer would be so happy with the job they did. So everyone would come over, go, oh, nice bathroom. Oh yeah, this guy did it. He was lovely to have at the house. So give him a call. Like blah blah blah. Like I want to foster the same like experience and relationship from that in anything I do. You know, they're like, even if we play a gig as a band, I'm always telling my band to be like, you know, let's not get wasted, like let's not like use too much of the house tab or like eat too much. Well, it's usually me that eats all the food. You know, if you're that band that hangs around and you don't introduce yourself to the sound guy or the staff, like you're not going to really be remembered no matter how sick your music was. It's about making connections like with people. Like
100%.
Yeah.
I find that a lot with this kind of work. It's like, started out as just like doing this little job, and then this person recommends you to this person, and then it's a steamroller effect. And then like my biggest client, I truly think that I have that client just because him and I get along. And it's like, he's about to leave it's just like an alcohol brand. He's about to leave, and you can tell he's just trying to get like a little bit more money in my pockets because he's leaving and he respects and appreciates me and he wants to help me. And it's like, it's the coolest thing to just notice that and be like, yeah, the quality of the work's good. But it's like, I still have a little bit of imposter syndrome there because I'm like, why are they fucking funneling so much money into me?
The
like,
fact you've even got work is a testament to that exact ethos of word of mouth, and the fact that you've continued to stay busy through doing honest work and making those relationships and connections. They want to help something that's that good.
No, it's a really cool thing to realise. Again, energy is your best currency. It's important to put your best foot forward, and that becomes a part of the whole package that you're putting forward. But I love everything you have to say about all that. It's good. It gives me a bit more fire and pep and excitement to continue on with the journey. Because I feel like when my mental state stagnates, like work just fucking stops. Opportunities just stop, and it's always like I'm always forced to just look at my shit head on. It's like, I feel like a lot of people will just like keep busy and just keep going, whatever, and it's just like, it just doesn't work like that for me. It's the funniest thing. Like, if I'm dating a dude that's just like not right, work just stops. And then fuck the awkward laugh.
And then as soon as it's gone, you start to regain yourself again.
I like boost the thing. I'm just like, no more. And then fucking like work is just like flooding in of all these cool opportunities. I'm like, perfect. Like, it's just cool to notice it and to just realize that it's all energetic.
And you make foolish decisions like wanting to sell the bike.
Fuck, man. And it's like fucking the amount of toys I've got. It's like, I don't know. I nearly got T-boned pretty bad the other day as well.
But you just never want to sell things.
For sure. No, it's not something that I needed to do, but it is something that felt quite right.
I'm even speaking from my experience.
I know, 100%. And I know everyone just wants me to have my toys as well.
The amount of bikes I've sold just because I had to.
But you always got another one. I remember when you sold your last one, and you were like, I'll get another one. I was like, no, we fucking won't. And then next minute you had another one. I was like, because
you have to. It's like a positive purchase. It's not like it's something you got to save up for and do for you. It's not like a necessity. So it always 100%. Gets the side burner.
It gets the flick. But it's like, I don't know, paying 3 regos and fucking all that. By the end of it, I'm just like, life gets expensive and I just can't find time for all the toys, so I'm just not making time for all the toys. So it feels
to full circle it.
Yeah, give it to me.
Are you do you reckon you're in the middle of a 7-year situation?
100%. Yeah. The biggest one I've ever been in, I reckon. Like,
I feel like your questions have been quite thematic to all of it.
Thematic.
Like theme based.
Yeah.
As in, you know, this COVID situation has forced quite a squeeze on us all. And polarized a lot of relationships.
Yeah.
And on the other side of it, which we almost feel like we are for like the last year or whatever, but well and truly now, we're all able to move forward. And some people are moving forward, and some people are stuck. Some people are there already.
Yeah.
Do you reckon we're all kind of in a bit of a 7-year situ that's been catalyzed by COVID?
I reckon. We're just such a collective. I feel like energetically we're all one, so we all tend to...
There's people out there that are feeling the same way,
100%,
for sure. Not everyone.
Oh yeah. But even like at the yoga studio, I was talking to the yoga teacher, and she said that she's never seen more emotion in the studio ever in her life. And like, I've definitely noticed it, like just, in big ways. But even the conversations that I'm having at the cafe, just asking people how they are, and I'm like, I'm shot. Like, personally, I'm feeling like right this second the best I've ever felt, because I feel like I'm living more honestly and like facing my shit head on, and trusting more again. But definitely feel like I'm in that for sure. But also turning 28, I don't know if you're really into like the Saturn return thing, but they do say that
I'm open to these concepts.
It's pretty cool. It's like between the ages of like 28 to 30, it's kind of just like all the shit that you just haven't really faced head on is just forcing itself to the surface.
Big ego death.
Yeah, huge. They're just like recurring, and like I noticed it with gel. Like it seems like it's like kind of a time where you feel like you're in a bad luck. Like it's just like gel had like car issues and this thing, and it was just like I'd look at him and I'd be like, you are the most unlucky cunt I've ever met. And then like he got to 30 and he started to just feel more sure of himself. And like, I think when you get to like, I don't know, from my observations, like 30, 31, 32, like you start to just be like, I just don't really I give a good amount of fucks, but the shit that used to plague me before just doesn't.
It's gone,
Yeah,
I feel that way.
Yeah.
As a 33-year-old.
As a perfect, you're in the zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do notice it in like the guys I date as well. It's like when they're not quite at 30 yet, I'm like, shit, like you're probably in that period right now where you're realizing that things have got to change and things are going to move, and
Dare I say though, I believe this, if anyone is thinking right, like is almost that this is like our duty of this generation. I feel like a lot of people are actually accessing their past traumas and working on them. Like we said before, like ironically what both of our ideal environments would be for the future would be A, land, which is so hard to get now. B, security, even harder in this socio-economic climate. And freedom of some sense, and experience to be able to, if we are to choose to have a family at all, it's A, going to be a choice, B, going to be not like what it was for us, and we're going to work on all of those things, you know, in these, you know, trialing years to try and become this version of ourselves that we'd like to be. But I feel like a lot of people are doing so much work on themselves at the moment. And in the past, you know, decade, it's shown itself even more in the last 5 years, I reckon. Like a lot of people doing more healing courses, a lot more natural medicine, a lot like health food companies starting up, proper water, all the you know, all the basic stuff. People are coming back to like their truths, and a lot of mental work is happening that just hasn't been what I grew up in, you know, like footy boys and you know, not talking about, you know, feelings. But that again is why some of my music mates are some of my best mates, is because we're all able to cut through at any stage and know if something's going on, and no one's afraid of like picking on the elephant in the room and being like, hey, you fishing doing alright today? You're a bit like down.
Yeah.
And they'll fucking hit me where it, and I'll be like, yeah, actually, like this shit's coming down. Like, thanks. And then you immediately feel lifted from actually talking about it with people that are happy to talk about it.
For sure.
But yeah, a lot of people still don't live in an environment that's created like that.
No.
But there's people working on it. I feel like it's out. Do you feel that way? Like it's what a lot of people are doing, like accessing these like ancestral traumas and doing their best to just like blast them away.
Yeah, that's it, heaps. That's it so much. And I'm glad to see it because I feel like for a while I wasn't seeing it. And you look back at our parents and like my dad's still kind of like, I mean, you see it a lot in the parents, they're not really, dad's not the first person to just like talk about shit and to get the conversations going. It's probably more in the avoidant side of things. But then I've seen like mum's evolution, like just like from the age
we can evolve.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's
one's stuck.
That's it. But I think people get really stuck in that. This is how I am. Like dad's kind of got that element to him. Love the man. He's the best. Like, and he's still into like these natural modalities, but it's like he still has that like, this is me. I'm coming as I am. Let's simplify things. And it's like it's epic, but it's just kind of like, nah, like
you can get deeper than that.
Yeah, let's go fucking way deeper than that. Like
guys and girls.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
everyone, no matter what age. It's like my goal is to just forever just be fucking chipping away. And like I know that when I die I won't even have gotten to the bottom of it. Like I don't know if you believe in like reincarnation or whatever. I haven't really put much thought to it, but it's like I know that I'm here right now. I'm doing the things that I need to undo because this is how it's going. It's just like everything's fucking happening as it needs to be. But it is rad to see people working on their shit. Like it is cool. It's like more vulnerability, more openness, more just like
especially if you're in a relationship and you can be like up and honest about like, you know, look, this is who I am, but you know, there's parts of me that like I'm working on. If I'm ever short like this, or if I'm ever, you know, I don't know, not a personal example, but like jealous or like, I don't know, whatever that people are going through. That's just an attitude or a modality that they're of thinking that they're trying to move past is like, that's healthy, you know.
And it's attractive, I reckon. Like if you were to come with me with
it's
like
hard
a weakness, it is tricky. I mean, I'm the first person to just be like, I'm shit at this, or I feel.
Well, it's a fine line between like humility and like opening to like sounding crazy. You know,
that's it.
So like obviously when you start dating someone, you're not always like, I'm a bit of a narcissist. And, or whatever. Or my dad hit people and like blah blah blah. You know, to like dumb boy and all your dramas on someone.
Dad's true.
No dad.
We're just constantly talking about dad. I'm healed. No, it's true, but that's the spice. Like I love the idea of being able to just be like, these are my shortcomings. Like I'm chipping away. I promise I am, and like pull me up on my shit as well. If you observe something that isn't really trucking with you, bring it to the table. In friendships as well, then like. I think I've come kind of like, I feel like I haven't really attracted many people that have been like, you're a girl, like when you do this, it makes me feel like this. Like people
we were talking about this the other day, like having yes man friends. People that just keep going,
enablers.
And agreeing with everything. Rather than listening and going, was what this person's saying actually like align with how I feel?
100%.
And if not, like feel confident enough around that person, and even if it's like a new friend, to be like, no man, I don't talk that way. Or like, I don't agree with you there. I'm actually not comfortable with you talking about that. Or like if it's heavy, like let's say it's racist or like like there's some sexist shit that you wouldn't want to hear anyone saying around you. You can be that person in the room. It's actually full credit to you. If someone pulls me up like that, if I'm accidentally swearing and there's women behind me at the table, like old ladies, you know, and someone's like, hey man, just keep your voice down. Like I'm like, oh, thank you.
Couldn't agree.
You know what I mean? And the people who react poorly to that, you're only going to see their true character anyway. So
no, it's true. I did did notice that
Problem
recently.
resolved.
Yeah. It's like that thing we were talking about the other day. It's like it shows you kind of the real people, the people that you want to have around, and then
Yeah,
they're
you
not
want
really
people to say no.
fucking
And this is why I'm happy. And then start the conversation. There's nothing wrong with like
Yeah.
understanding each other.
Yeah, no, I want to do that more. Just like, I just don't want to enable my friends that are doing shit. I've noticed like a few in like kind of like average relationships and things like that sometimes, and I kind of just want to be like, he's a cunt, he's treating you so bad, like, you know, and then you still have to sort of be supportive and be like, you've got to learn on your own and stuff like that. But sometimes I'm just like, how can't you see it for what it is? Like, but I like. Gel taught me that kind of like the conviction thing. Like it's like, if you're gonna say it and be just like stand tall and say it and believe in yourself. Because it's like, if you're not, people can sense it straight away. And I think that's why I've been taken for a ride quite a bit, because I haven't done it 100%. I've been like, yeah.
The last interaction I actually had where I questioned if I was being a yes man was with your brother. Yeah, when he came over to our place, and we just got along so well, and he was like quoting Lord of the Rings and stuff like that.
What's new?
And everything we were talking about, his opinion was very like on point with mine. So I was actually realizing in myself, I was like, I've just been agreeing with this guy all night. I'm a fucking yes man right now. But it was because I genuinely did like agree with him and like found someone that like, I see you.
Well, it's like the other side of the coin is those people like my stepmom. She just disagrees with everything. It's like you can never do anything right, sort of thing. It's like, it's a funny thing. There's a lot of people that just bring up like the worst thing like that, and you're just like, whoa, what's going on internally there, darling? But nah, I think it's nice. I reckon it's cool. Joe would have felt that. He vibes you.
Well, unless you just thought I was a yes man.
Nah, but he's the first person to just like kind of cause a ruckus with shit like that, where he's just like, nah.
Yeah, he'd probably play a trick on me, like say some fucked opinion, and just if I'm like, then it'd be like, hey, this guy's an idiot.
That's so fucking hilarious. But that feels like a good fucking place to wrap the girl up. But it was nice to have you.
No worries. It was a pleasure to chat with you anytime.
Yeah, that was sick. That was like the best kind of flow. Having to like not really having to look at the journal and just like conversation just fly.
Yeah, because I felt like you were talking.
Yeah. Thanks for getting me
from your heart.
talking.
Yeah.